The world of mobile games is vast and full of titles you have never even heard of, such as Compass, Combat Providence Analysis System. It is a sort of capture the flag MOBA game with enough popularity to get its own anime, which is titled Compass 2.0. Yeah, when you watch the anime, it makes a little bit of sense, but it's not the best name since I first thought this was a season 2 or something. The story, from what I could gather, follows the original plot of the game. Compass is a world where heroes from different worlds can meet and interact with each other and hang out with their players. Kinda like Fate, but with less stakes and less sex. To keep this world running, however, the players and heroes need to gather energy, and they do that conveniently through the capture the flag system found in the game. One of the heroes, however, 13, refuses to partner up with any players, which is a requirement to partake in the battles. Because of that, he was about to be banished. Thankfully, a new player, Chin, joins right before an incident that kind of forces Chin and 13 to partner up temporarily. I did say temporarily, but once a hero and a player partner up, they can no longer sever this bond, which is gonna be very fun if we don't get along. This is about the first episode of Compass, and because of the events that happened, the next one or two episodes are kinda boring. It essentially boils down to 13 running around, which serves as an introduction to many characters, trying to figure out, hey, how can I serve this partnership? And once Chin finds out that 13 doesn't want to stay partnered up with him, he just kinda stays moping around. I mean, he knows the guy for like half a day, and he has a trauma about this for the rest of the show. After this is where the story starts to pick up, as one of the heroes, Hancock Justice, is getting corrupted, which results in him going berserk, but also becoming quite a bit stronger. After barely fending him off, he decides to go back to his own world, and this is where Chin and 13 decide to travel to Justice's world and go look for him. I really like this idea for a story that is already set up around characters coming from other worlds. This is even done a few times throughout the remaining show, but never to the extent that I really would have wanted it to. I would guess this is because of the episode count, as they had to limit which characters they are gonna visit. Something I also find strange is how all of these worlds are real and coexist with each other, but nobody minds, and the human world doesn't even seem to be really aware of that. The plot from this point on is pretty decent and not worse than any other anime I watched. There's not much I can add at this point though, because I would have to spoil a lot. It basically boils down to the bad guy kinda misunderstanding something and everybody going, we have to save Compass to stay connected with our friends, which is a pretty standard plot if you ask me. Anime based on mobile games tend to have a higher budget and thus tend to also look a bit nicer than others. In Compass, the animation never felt too bogged down, and the CGI they used felt well enough integrated to the point it didn't really bother me. That being said, they did make plenty use of it though. This is especially true for the final battle, which makes me think they either didn't have that much budget to begin with, or they wasted a lot in the earlier episodes. As such, Compass seemingly does a lot to stretch that budget, such as the classic Frozen characters. But you also have a lot of single character action scenes. Essentially, they don't show more than one character at a time, which helps them reduce the amount of things they have to animate. This is especially noticeable in the battles. Animation aside, there's a lot to see. The world is quite colorful, and the backgrounds have many details, making them never feel stale. The biggest thing, however, are the characters. Thanks to the mobile game route, they have plenty of designs to work with, and because of the multi-world plot, they tend to be more varied as well. As such, I'm glad they used a solid group of characters present at any given time. They could have just relegated themselves to a group of one or two core characters and made the rest generic ones, but they didn't. I do, however, think that some of the designs are a bit hit or miss. As an example, you have 13, who looks pretty nice, but he has that dumb mouth on his mask, which makes him look kinda goofy. Or you have Mr. SMT4 protagonist over here, which is all I could think about every time I saw him. When it comes to the music, I feel neither good nor bad about it. The tracks were peppy and they did their job, but there wasn't really a standout track. Well, besides one, which was a collaboration song with Hatsune Miku. Because of that, I wouldn't be surprised if they've just used the music from the actual game, as the entire time I did get the vibe of just mobile game music. The opening is something I didn't mind, and I never skipped it, but the track really isn't a must listen, and the animation itself doesn't really hype you up too much for the episode, which also makes it not a must watch. Also, I feel like they didn't really know what to do with all the characters, so they just kind of shoved all of them in there. The ending here is much better, and if it was up to me, I would have used it as the actual opening song. Also, it is nice in the animation to see that Compass is treated as something that actually exists in the real world with advertisements and cons around it. And this brings me to the pros and cons. As for the pros, the character designs are nice and don't get too stale. The story stays consistent and resolves nicely by the end. And the game was well incorporated into it without feeling too jarring. As for the cons, drama and character motivations feel forced and shallow at times. Too many characters taking up screen time, and there's just too much CGI in the end. In conclusion, hashtag Compass 2.0 is not a bad anime, but it does itself a big disservice with its first 2-3 episodes. If you stick with it, however, you get a pleasant little show that can stand on its own two legs without any knowledge of the game that it's based on. Which is good, since I don't think it's available outside of Japan anyways. Now, don't expect a masterpiece, but if you have the time and are curious about it, then I would say it is worth a shot. But maybe watch the first 3 episodes on 1.5 speed. If you want to check out some other anime that play across multiple worlds, then I'm gonna leave you with these two recommendations: Akanesa Sushosho and Flip Flappers. And with that, this review comes to a conclusion. Do you agree or disagree with me? Is there another anime you want me to check out? Well, just write it in the comments down below, and while you are there, why not like and subscribe to not miss out on future reviews?